Committee on Tuesday, the 11th of October. On apologies for absence. Any apologies?
We have apologies from
Sorry.
Councillor Miller and Councillor Clark.
Okay. Councillor Buckley said he was not here. So I don't know where Councillor Lambert is. I haven't heard anything from him. So never mind. Let's start. Right. Okay. Declarations of interest. Yeah.
Yeah, on page 15,
Yeah.
regarding revenues, obviously I'm involved in that, so that's that, just to
Okay.
let you know anyway, so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for letting us know. Okay. Number 3, participation. Oh, we have an audience member. Hello. Would you like to state your name?
Richard Guy, History.
Okay.
A couple of points, if I mentioned, substantially curtailed.
Sorry.
Substantially curtailed compared to all briefs. Only about 33 lines of information. And normally about 130, something like that. And I wonder if there's any reason for this.
Jonathan?
Yes, I presume, are you referring to the budget itself?
No.
Or the management accounts?
Yeah.
Yes. So both the budget and the management accounts, they have been reduced. They have been reduced down. This is mainly for clarity and ease and accessibility. So more detailed figures can be prepared on request, but for reporting back on a month-by-month basis, then that's the reason why the management accounts have been reduced.
Then I request more detail.
You're more than welcome to, if you have any particular queries, you're more than welcome to email in, and I can provide you with any information about that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Welcome, Councillor Lambert. Sorry. Carry on. No, carry on.
Second point, briefly. As regards to the budget, car parking has gone up 10%. Mooring has gone up 10%. Car park particularly, that's going to give you another 28. I've got figure something 23 or 4,000 worth of income for an extra cost of only 1,250. The point I'm making is that by keeping pace with inflation, as you put it, you are in fact stoking that inflation. You're putting the costs up for everyone else. Possibly excessively so, because the indications are your costs are not going to go up by that much.
Yes, I'd say the main cost for this council is staff costs. Staff costs, I can't remember the exact figure, but probably at least 2/3 of budget, and the overseeing of the car parks. It's not just the direct costs associated with the car park, but all the administration around it. The costs for that for this year alone, we budgeted about 2% staff increase costs. We're actually looking at around about the nationally negotiated salary increases. We're still waiting for confirmation, but we're probably looking at a £2,000 increase per member of staff, regardless of where they are on the scale. A lot of the parks team that obviously oversee the car park, they are lower down on the scale, which actually means that a £2,000 increase could be anything up to about a 10% increase in their salary. That's just for this year alone, and we've only actually budgeted for 2%. So taking into account those increases in costs, and potentially next year, we're looking around about, we're budgeting for about 5%, but it could be, we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know what it's going to be. So 10% increase in costs, when actually we might be looking at anything up to a 12-15% increase in staff costs. Obviously that's significant. If we do need to do any repairs to the car park, And also the car park also helps with all the parks and open spaces. We have riverbank repairs, most of which are going to be down at Mill Meadows. I think we currently have about 50,000 set aside for that. We're probably looking closer to 200,000 at least for that work, which we don't yet have set aside. And with inflation, those costs are going to go up and have gone up. With other groundworks that we've been doing, then we've actually seen costs increasing by far more than 10%. And that's for things like tarmac and things like that. So I would say that 10% increase in the parking there is commensurate with the increase in cost of the policy.
Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Okay, is there anything else?
No, that's just the 2 points I really wanted to make.
Right, fine, okay. Yeah.
I will probably leave you to it then.
I think you can say that, all right, thank you. Okay, right. Let's note the minutes of Tuesday, the 30th of August. Has anyone? Who else? What's my train of thought? Second, Kelly. Right, fine. All those in favour? Right, nothing. Sorry. I'm saying someone's phone was going off and I thought it was mine. Sorry. Right, progress. Making preparation. Report.
What's more update on that?
Yeah.
So further to the progress report, I've now received back a third quote for the work, and I hope I should be able to discuss the final specification and the quotes with Chairman and Vice Chair in the next couple of days.
Adventure Golf.
We have a meeting of the Putnam Green Working Group, which we should probably rename the working group by now, on next Tuesday, and the agenda of things should be going out probably by Thursday, the latest.
Yeah, okay. Parks waste disposal contract. Who's going to, you? Give an update on that.
Yeah, the new waste is basically what it's specified. Yeah, we've have the new actor that seems to be working very well.
Councillor,
Yeah.
quick question. On this progress report, there used to be the steps that are going into the river. It's fallen off.
Oh, Kelly. Well, no, I won't answer that.
Yes, no, somebody can add that on. So the riverbank repairs is the next big project to work on with some other commitments which we just haven't had time to resurrect it at the moment. But I'm hoping that hopefully from beginning of November we should, or when I'm back from maternity leave, we should be able to get that underway.
Did you just say maternity?
Yeah.
I didn't say maternity. I know it's a few pounds, but it's not for that reason.
Thank you.
Okay. You've got your hand up.
I'm sure that there's more things on progress, but it seems to, if there's one been missing, is there other things that have been missing? Because it seems to be pretty blank and new stuff. I know this is a new thing, the making thing. The adventure golf is an ongoing thing. Obviously the waste thing, but there seems to be a lot of stuff that I think that should be on there, and I don't remember anything being resolved.
Okay, right, Kelly.
I was just going to say, a lot of things have come up in recent meetings
Yeah.
where we have completed them. And the steps, although they're not here, haven't been forgotten about, so there have been internal emails where I've seen it's still there, but it's just, it's been an issue of time. We have to cut and breathe and everything first to get through. So it's definitely still there. It's something like.
But it should be on this agenda because it's not been resolved. It's
Yeah,
not been finished, so it should be on here anyway.
Sharon.
We keep them always on planning until it's completely resolved. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's page, 2 pages long, as long as it's still there and, you know, people are still focused on it. Okay, very helpful.
Is there anything in particular that you'd like that you feel is missing from the progress report?
But until it's like, you just said, it's until it's finished, you shouldn't be missed off of it because these things then get overlooked. Even though it might be on something else, it should still stay on this.
You'd have to look back through and see if there's anything dropped off that you want to resurrect on.
Yeah, is there anything?
It just seems doesn't seem to be very much when they normally quite a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if you look back through, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
We're talking, hands up, sorry. Hamlet,
It's at least the steps.
the steps, we put the steps
At
back.
least it's a step in the right direction.
Put that back on page. Anybody? There, Madam Mayor, you want to say anything else? No, thank you, fine, okay, fine.
Is it much of a something for yourself, or what?
All right. Sorry, now ask the question.
Does the adventure got something for your separate working group? Can that not just be discussed on the RNA committee?
So it's a very good question, and we don't usually convene subcommittees unless there's a very good reason for it, especially as obviously the committees, the work is kind of quite smooth. With the Putting Green working group or Adventure Golf working group, there are where it's going into kind of like more granular detail. And considerations, then that's where it's more suitable for a subcommittee. It will be discussing kind of like the minutiae of opening hours and staffing levels and things like that, broker and marketing strategy, which are more suitable for a subcommittee. So although usually I would agree, and if we don't, if it can go to a standing committee, I'm not opposed to it.
Right, okay, so we're making finances now. Right then. Just to note then, isn't it? Right, yeah. Kelly,
It should be raised about the market-based licenses and the effect they will have.
yeah. No, fair enough, nothing. You want to mention that? Or not?
The marketplace seating licenses.
Yes.
Yes, certainly. So the marketplace seating licenses, they've returned to the full fee as of the 30th of September.
So when you say return to the full fee,
Yes.
so that's the previous pandemic fee.
Yes, indeed.
Well, that's good, it's some budget, fantastic, yes. Common sense, right. Okay, let's go to the budget. And you note that. Any questions? Madam Mayor?
What are we doing? Are we debating or proposing or? I mean, just to tell you all where I am with this, if that's okay, councillor Pruitt.
Yeah.
I mean, broadly in favour of this, apart from the very last part of it, which is the increase for Jubilee Park Outdoor Sports Centre charges. Main reason being, we've got grassroots organisations using this facility, who are already under a lot of budget constraints. What they don't want to do is have to put up their subs to parents who may be struggling with cost of living. And I do note on page 16, 4.6, that charges of an increase of 7.25% for all bookings is already coming to effect for September 2022. So for that reason, I won't be voting that part of it through. I won't be voting on that part of it. How do other councillors feel about it?
All right.
I agree with you, it's pretty tough, but it's one of those, you take with one hand and give with the other. If we don't increase it and we don't come up with our own costs, as Sheridan was mentioning, electricity, various other bits like that are going to rocket potentially. All that's gonna happen is we're gonna subsidise it, and therefore we're gonna put council tax anywhere, and we're gonna hit every council taxpayer in the town anyway. So it's sort of, the costs need to be met. However, it's whether they're passed on to individuals to use of that, such as the clubs and sports teams, or whether it's council tax that just goes up so that we can meet our own budget at the next venue. It's one and the same. We just can't continually try and keep, there's a couple on there like car park and stuff like that. I actually see it go up further, because you've got to figure out where in the budget we make money at a decent rate so that we can subsidise other things, but I don't think we can keep our costs behind inflation without just hitting the taxpayer.
The load is spread much more evenly if it goes across all of the taxpayers in Henley, whereas a very small club cannot spread that load. So that's why we need to look at the balance for this particular item, in my opinion. Okay.
It's like Michelle said, the thing is, a lot of these things, we could end up losing so many things because they can't afford to, because if you increase, I know that you have to increase things with inflation and all that sort of stuff, but the thing is, some of these clubs and everything else there, and parents, that they don't send, and if they fall in members, they start losing members, then it becomes not sustainable, then you lose the club, and then you're still spending the money, but you haven't got no income coming in anymore. So you've got to be careful what you've got to balance it out, because the knock-on effect is you just lose everything rather than keeping something. And I'm sure there's in, like, if it was a car park and we're making more money out of the car park, using some of the car parking money, whether you can do that is to subsidise some of these things, especially for schools anyway. I'm sure there's some way of balancing it out, so we can keep just increasing it a little bit, so they don't pay quite a lot, where you've got the risk of losing the members, then losing the club because they can't afford to keep it on anymore. And I know it's tough, and we're going through a lot of changes at the moment, but we need to balance things out as also, otherwise we lose those altogether.
Okay. I agree with everything that Lawrence said, every word. We can't. I'm going to vote through the budget as it is, as it's recommended, because I believe it's reasonable. I think that if it's a real issue, there are other ways we can look at helping the sports clubs, and ways that we do. We have obviously our grants schemes twice a year. We also subsidise other things. There's other things for making money, potentially making money. But I think there was one thing on the table, at least for down at Jubilee Park, that could be an income, bring an income that could perhaps help the clubs cover these kind of increases. But we do have to pass some of these on. We can't absorb every single increase in this town. It's irresponsible for a start. And I get where you're coming from completely. I do, but we're picking up everywhere.
I really disagree with that last statement. I hope you withdraw it, because I don't think I'm being irresponsible by saying, giving my opinion.
Oh, no, not by giving your opinion, but being irresponsible by absorbing every single cost because we can't pass it on. That's not responsible financial management. I think we need to pass on the costs where it's appropriate, and in my point of view, this is an appropriate way to pass on that cost. If they're struggling, we have other ways we can work with them to support them, but this, by affecting our budget and not managing our money correctly, I don't think it's the right way.
Anybody else like to speak?
We'll just,
Yeah.
if there was one job, what Kelly was just saying, if there was a way of stopping it and guaranteed to support these clubs, then I'd be happy with that, and I'm sure you would be. If there was a way of supporting the clubs through another means or grants and things like that.
£2,500.
And they're still going to make a huge loss.
Would they?
They're not.
They're going for a loss this year.
Even,
Already.
are they already getting grants? They're already getting grants.
Sheridan.
With their accounts. We look
Hang
through
on,
them.
hang on. No, wait. Sheridan, speak.
I believe that I would need to double check the figures. I believe they were given the grants at the last FSM.
£2,500. I can vote against it because they've got 48,000 in their bank accounts or something like that, which is currently running their standard.
Yes, which is just a snapshot in time.
So how are we going? Yeah.
It is a difficult one, this is why I brought to the committee, at the end of the day, it's more of a nuanced decision. A couple of other things to bear in mind is that the upkeep of the AstroTurf, we do need to put money aside for replacement of the surface. Looking at how much money we're putting aside, it's likely we're going to have to increase that quite substantially. I don't have the figures to hand, unfortunately, but I believe it was in a recent meeting with the Henley Hockey Club, and they saw how much we were putting aside, and through recent experience, they said that actually be looking at we need to be putting aside hundreds of thousands more for the replacement of the surface. But again, I don't have the exact figures. The other thing to mention is that we are heavily oversubscribed at the AstroTurf, and whilst that might not be reasonable itself to raise prices because there are more things going on, then I think it is useful to look at other facilities around Henley, and I believe that we are one of the cheaper AstroTurf facilities in Henley surrounding area.
Just one other,
Yeah,
just to sum up,
yeah.
is, can we get sports grants like Sport England and things like that for these to help us with costs for those sort of things? Facilities?
They can individually apply for more.
Yeah. Can we look at that then as well?
Well, like we said, the hockey and football and West Ham, and we do at every FSM charity meeting. So we provide a part of the funding, but they also need to do their own individual legwork on all of this. Like whether a youth theatre group or a sports club or whatever you do locally, there is national funding out there, be it Lottery, UK Sport, or a number of other institutions. But they need to look at themselves. I'm sure the town council have a number of options might be able to put them in the right direction, but that's down to them to do. They are at the end of the day, like the councillors are saying, they are their own organisation, their own teams. They are at the end of the day responsible for running their own outfits in a responsible manner. We can't do everything. We must cover our costs. Otherwise, the deficit for the town council will grow and grow and grow and grow. And we'll then be cutting back on all our services. We'll have less staff, we'll have less parks department, and generally around town we'll be cutting back on the whole. That's the bigger picture. We ourselves are running an operation.
You're fine. You're fine. Right, that's enough, Lawrence. You're quite.
He's already thinking he was getting rid of.
We're keeping calm, it's very much valued, and so are all our parts of the department, very much valued. Okay, so if we go to 6.1, it is recommended that the committee resolves to recommend to the Finance Strategy and Management Committee the proposed budget for 2022-2023 as shown in Schedule 1 be adopted, resolved that the venue facility hire charges for 2023-24 shown on Schedule 2 for the Town Hall, Kingsdown Farm, Old Fire Station Gallery, Marketplace, Banner, bookings be adopted. Resolved to recommend to the Finance Strategy Management Committee that information regarding rent review and renewals of licenses to lease and manage properties in Schedule 3 be adopted. And we don't need individually or
They can be voted on block, unless, for example, somebody wanted to make a motion on any particular item.
the articles carry and Schedule 3 be adopted. Resolved that the charges for the Mill Meadows car park and temporary moorings, Jubilee Sports Park and Parks into 2022-23, as shown in Schedule 4 parts 2 be adopted. All those in favour? Anyone want to propose? No, all right, take over my job. Right. Kelly.
Yeah, so I was just going to second Lawrence's proposal.
You proposing?
Yeah.
Don't laugh.
No, I wasn't. No, sorry. These two made me laugh. Yeah, happy to propose those. Then next year, what Councillor Thomas was saying, maybe we can look at whether we put 1 or 2% more on specific things, say more into parking, so that we can look at increasing other things by less. But I think this year it's a fair budget.
There's no consistency in it. I can't see the consistency in it. There's some been given a light hand and others have been truffled. I just
Okay, we go to the vote then. All those in favour? All those against?
I have to abstain.
In favour. What was that?
So that would be 4 to 2, that would be 2/3, so that would be.
Okay, fine. And with that, I do, that it, with that, I close the meeting.